Yo, what's going down, everybody? It is straight out of Boston here, aka the King of Boston, and today we have episode, I believe, 8 or 9. I can't even remember, because I don't like title these episodes or whatever by their numbers, but we have, I believe, episode 8 or 9 of the Around the League series, and today we're doing the Toronto Raptors. Now, once again, this is a gameplay against my good friend Burns. He's using the Detroit Pistons. I'm using the Toronto Raptors, because that's obviously the team that we're doing today, and you can see we got some funky uniforms on. But anyway, let's get right into this. So, I think this Raptors team has a lot of talent. It's a young team with a few veterans on it, but it's got some talent. I really like Kyle Lowry. I think he really came on last year, proved himself to be, he's a good point guard. I don't know if I'm going to call him a great point guard. He's very injury prone, but he's a good point guard, and he's definitely going to be a key for this team. And I think Jose Calderon also is a very good point guard. I think, it sucks because I think he's worthy of starting in the NBA, but he's inconsistent at times, although he's filled in this year nicely when Kyle Lowry gets hurt. And I think that I'm not going to talk about it now. I'm going to get into it in a sec, but I'm just going to quickly go down the roster a little bit more. Andrea Bargnani is a guy I'm going to talk about in just 1 second. Terrence Ross, I kind of like, I'm not really sure. I think he's going to be, I think his what do they say, his limit, his peak or whatever, his ceiling, I guess the word would be, is pretty much J.R. Smith. I think they're similar players. They're both, kind of guys who can give you immediate scoring punch. Terrence Ross obviously isn't the shot creator that J.R. Smith is, not yet, but hopefully he can develop into that. I like DeMar DeRozan. I think he's a good scorer. I think he just needs to shoot the ball at a higher percentage, I should say. I kind of worded that weird, but he's not a very efficient scorer. That's what he needs to work on if he wants to establish himself as a solid player in the NBA. And I really like Allen Anderson. I believe he was a second-round draft pick. Or no, he's like a third-year guy. But I really like Allen Anderson. He's played well this year. Amir Johnson and Ed Davis are guys who I think both have some potential. I hope, hopefully for them they can grow a little bit. Linus Kleiza had a good Olympics for Lithuania. He's inconsistent though. Needs to work on that. Michael Petrus, whatever you want to call him. He's good veteran leadership in this club that I think could use some veteran leadership because they seem to be kind of disruptive at times. So, hopefully he can be a good clubhouse leader. I'm not sure, hopefully he'll learn from guys like KG and Paul Pierce when he's on the Celtics. But what I really want to talk about is a trade that I think the Raptors should do. It's centered around Andrea Bargnani and Jose Calderon, and it's basically Bargnani and Calderon for Pau Gasol. And I've checked this on the ESPN trade machine, which is like an app on ESPN.com that you can use, and it kind of takes into effect all salary cap and stuff like that. And the trade should work. If they do need a third team, there are plenty of teams out there that can take on some salary and act as a third team in the deal. But I really like it for the Raptors because I think Bargnani's a guy who's peaked. I don't think he's going to be any better than what he is right now. He clearly looks like a guy who was drafted and came into the league and had immediate success, but really didn't grow from there. Kind of like a Tyreek Evans or a Brandon Jennings. So he's clearly a guy who's peaked. I don't think he's a part of the future for this team. I think he fits in perfectly in the D'Antoni system. And I think Jose Calderon also fits in perfectly. I mean, you saw when the Lakers, Steve Nash was hurt, and they didn't really have a true point guard, and what's a point guard-oriented system, and they struggled. And I think that Calderon can spot Steve Nash in minutes. They don't have to overwork him because he is an old guy. He obviously is not going to be able to play 48 minutes a game. So I think it's a perfect trade for the Lakers, and I think you don't need Jose Calderon if you're the Raptors. You don't need Jose Calderon because you have Kyle Lowry. Maybe you try to get back a Darius Morris or someone to kind of play as a backup point guard, or even just a Chris Duhon, just someone, because at that point you don't really have anyone who can back up Kyle Lowry. Or I guess you have John Lucas III, so maybe you don't need a guy like that back. But then like I said, Bargnani's peaked. I think Pau Gasol, he's a guy who has 2 years left on his contract. I don't know if he would be willing to re-sign with the team, but I think that it's a way to move on to clear Bargnani's contract. If you don't want Pau Gasol, you can clear up that cap space in 2 years, and you can kind of move on from there and try to sign someone else. I think it's a really smart trade. And people are going to say, well, why would you want Gasol if he's going to leave in 2 years? Well, the point is, you get that contract off of your salary. and you can go for someone else in 2 years. So, you know, at that point they can move on to Ed Davis or Amir Johnson, or they can look for someone else in free agency. This also will give guys like Ed Johnson and Ed Johnson, Ed Davis, Amir Johnson, and Jonas Valanciunas, or Chunas, I don't really know how to pronounce it, but it will give them more opportunities to play, and even Aaron Gray, if you want to throw him in there, although I don't really think he's anything, or is going to ever be anything, but that's besides the point. So I think it's a good trade. I think it moves on. You know, I think the Raptors, you know, I want to say they have potential because they're a young team that clearly hasn't played up to its, you know, up to what people thought they were going to play. Like, at least me personally, but I feel like they are what they are, and I don't think they really are going to be anything more than what they are right now. So I think that's a smart trade. Sorry, something just banging that freaked me out. But, yeah, and I think, you know, you move on to some of your younger guys, some of your draft picks. You know, like I said, Terrence Ross is a guy who hopefully can be a good scorer in the league. I think Landry Fields is overpaid and unnecessary. They're pretty deep at the wing. If you think about it, with Lowry, Calderon, DeMar DeRozan, Terrence Ross, then you have Landry Fields. I think they overpaid him. He's a good defender, but he's nothing really too special. He's a steal for a second-round pick, though. But, you know, I think it was kind of silly to pay him what they paid him. I think they gave him like 3 years, $25 million. So I think it was pretty overpaid. I think that, you know, I like some of the guys on this team. Like I said, I think, you know, Davis and Johnson have good potential. I haven't seen too much of Valanciunas, so I don't really have a big opinion on him. That's why I haven't talked about him a lot. Quincy Acey was a guy I loved to watch play at Baylor. I think he's a good high-energy guy. You know, maybe he'll be something. I mean, he's never going to be nothing more than a role player, but, you know, it'd be nice to see if he could, you know, find or carve out a space for him on this team. And other than that, I think this is a good team, but I think if they make that trade, they can move on to the rebuilding process. I don't see this team as a playoff team this year. I think they're probably going to finish in the, you know, probably the bottom 3 or 4 teams in the East. But anyway, that's pretty much all I have for you guys. So you can see at the gameplay, I cut the lead to 3, but that's pretty much going to wrap it up because Burns is going to aim on the ball and quickly get the ball away, so I can't foul him or anything. So that's going to wrap up this gameplay. I hope you guys did enjoy. Thanks for watching. As always, I'll leave you guys with the post-game highlights, and I don't believe I have the stats. I think I have a screenshot of them. We'll see. I'm pretty sure I do. But anyway, thank you guys for watching. Hope you did enjoy. And so as I'm out. Peace.
Big whale in the building.